National Urban League presents Emerging Voices from the Pandemic. Students speak out. Across the United States, students like me were able to tell our stories about learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. Connected students asked the questions while disconnected and reconnected students shared their lived experiences. There's a lot to learn from us. Are you ready? True stories, real students, useful recommendations.
So, would you describe yourself as a disconnected or a reconnected student?
I would most definitely describe myself as a reconnected student because, at the beginning of the school year, I was disconnected. I wouldn't sign in to my classes or turn in work on time, but eventually I did fix my habits towards the end of each semester to get all my work in and make sure I had the grades that I needed.
So, as my older sister, did you feel a pressure to reconnect, to sort of set an example for me?
No, not really. Only because I know that you're always gonna do what you need to do in order to graduate and be on top. So, but when I used to see you do your work and everything, that used to encourage me to reconnect to okay, well, Charmaine, your little sister doing this, so you need to do it too. Go do your work or go log into class. Yeah. Just seeing you do stuff make me want to do it.
So, how has the pandemic impacted your experience with school?
Before the pandemic, I really liked going to school. It was really fun to me. But once we got out, it wasn't fun at all. We couldn't do anything. We could barely talk to each other. It's kind of hard to talk to each other because we didn't prepare for the pandemic. So we don't have each other numbers, might not have each other Instagrams or none of that. So I didn't really find it fun anymore. All we did was simple stuff that you don't interact with other people.
So, how prepared did you feel to make the transition to remote learning?
I think it was 50-50 because at Banneker, we already kind of went paperless when it came to reading, different books that we had to read and stuff. That part, it was easy to transition to that, but logging into different meetings, that wasn't fun at all.
So, could you talk a little bit about the time that you had to spend online or at the computer for remote learning?
Probably 5 to 6 hours, just because we did have few breaks in between classes. Lunch was the biggest break that we had, but most of the time we had a lot of work to do, so we didn't really have time to log off or set the computer aside and do other things. It was always on the computer, reading, everything.
So, do you feel the workload in school increased with the transition into pandemic?
I think it increased a lot. I don't know, it just felt like they were just giving us a lot, tons of work. And they didn't really take in consideration all the other things that we had to do. When we were in school, they took that in consideration, but when we came out, they didn't think about it.
do you feel like some of the issues you had in person school follow you to remote learning?
I did get distracted when we did go to remote learning, just because it was just easy to flip through my phone, like on Instagram and scroll. It was just easy to swipe and go to something else, or like go to another website, go online shopping and other things.
So during the pandemic, how do you feel like your interactions with teachers or guidance counselors has changed or maintained?
Well, with my teachers and counselors, the communication was really very minimum. Like, I really didn't talk to them while we was remote learning. It was kind of hard to talk to them just because, you know, you had to email them, and some of them don't really check their email like they're supposed to. They'll get like emails, like a lot of emails a day. So like your email could get pushed to the bottom and not responded to for like a couple days. And my counselor is the same way. Most of our conversations was at the beginning of each semester or at the beginning of each school year. And it was just about schedule changes, and that's it basically.
So what would you have preferred the interactions to look like? Were there anything, like any concerns you had that you may have wanted to talk to them about?
But with my counselor, I just wish she could have responded. I had one big concern, and she just really wasn't really getting back in a timely manner where I could change it or fix it before it was too late. So I had to like basically do it myself, or like try to fix it myself in order to graduate on time.
So do you have any advice that you would give to teachers that have to operate during remote learning?
I just think that it's best to like maybe change the way they teach. They have to make it different from when we were in the classroom. I think they probably just need to try harder to get the students engaged, because it's easier to do that when you're like face-to-face in person, because you know you're there sitting there right in their face. But since we're through the computer, it's hard to do that. So maybe they could like, you know, make activities that we could do hands-on at home, or like maybe like pick up supplies from the school, like for the people that don't have everything.
So were you disappointed knowing that you may miss out on a few of the senior experiences?
At first I wasn't, because I didn't really want to go to prom. But at the end, maybe like a month ago, I started to think, I'm like, well dang, that is kind of sad, because I missed the 11th grade prom and my senior prom. Like, I didn't have a chance to go to neither. And I probably won't experience that ever again.
So what do you feel were some things that brought you to becoming reconnected?
The main thing that made me want to be reconnected was my future, like graduating and going to college, because that was the main thing that I really wanted to like achieve at the like end. So,
have you picked up any new hobbies during the pandemic?
I started to crochet during the winter. Started to crochet. I made hats. I made a bear. Oh, makeup. I started to try to do my makeup. I started to do better with hair. Like, I started to take time, make sure the parts look good, make sure it looks neat.
So what about the pandemic made you pick up these new hobbies?
Since we had to stay in our house for so long, you know, it gets boring. So I had to I had to figure out some things to do while we just sat in the house without nothing to do for like those couple of months.
Do you feel like any of your relationships have changed due to the pandemic, like maybe with your family and friends?
With my friends, yes, because we don't really talk like that now. So I have like a couple, like maybe like 1 or 2 friends that I talk to almost every day. And yeah, my family, maybe me and you got closer.